So, it's been a while. And I know, Candor, you're still trying to get Forge to work because it decided to not work as soon as I said I was going live. Because that's how technology works. If it's not on my end, it hears that I'm going to do something, and it goes wrong for one of you. So, Nabarine, do you want to try and do the recap? I don't think you've done one yet.
Well, I have, but I will attempt to do that. So, our Sleeping Beauty woke up. He is definitely a Martian, and he is in the military still. He says that the ship was on its. We don't know exactly what they were doing. We just know that the little drive of death that we have was their most important cargo, and it needs to get somewhere, but he will not tell us where it needs to go. He doesn't care where he goes, and he appreciates that we have him alive, but there are things he swore oaths to, and he's not going to give that honor up. Good for him. His name is Kai, and June and Chester and Thomas are inside the ship. They were... Oh, the baby unplugged me. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Yes.
Anyway, I will somehow get that back in a second. I will not hear anybody in the meantime. Anyway, so Carter, Rebecca, and Nigel are all outside still. And they were on their way in after a discussion about what was going to happen with Kai. And basically what the consensus was we can't do anything about it right now. Let's just get to our destination and we'll decide after that. We still have a few days and we'll see how it all shakes out. As Kai is about to hand Chester his data pad, we get a blip saying that there is a very large Martian ship on the way to us.
I don't think it was large, but it was a Martian ship.
I think it was large.
It was a Morgana, right?
Large?
I think it was a Morgana.
Yes, it was. Yes, it is.
That's one of the smaller ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one that shouldn't be called a destroyer. It should be a Martian torpedo boat.
It was the same class as the one that we were going to go board, and then Carter said no, and we were all very sad.
It's probably the same
ship. Legitimate idea.
It's probably the same
relatively comparable in size to the Good News, actually.
Yeah.
Might be a little bit bigger.
Well, it's a little ship. We have a little ship, so...
Yes.
Oh, I forgot to take a picture. I actually built the Good News and Space Engineers. And I forgot to take a picture and put it up on here. Dang it. To be continued. Maybe I'll do that during the intermission. All right. Gander, have you gotten your technical problems sorted?
No, but I can still do dice rolling and stuff, so I should be okay.
Weird. So
it's the maps that aren't showing up? Is that it?
Yeah, and any pictures, like character art, aren't showing up either. Well, with the exception of June and Carter, they are showing up.
Speaking of Carter, Scarlet will not be joining us for the foreseeable future. So that's a thing. I'm sure Squirrel's aware and has a plan, but for you viewers...
So much faith in me.
I have all of the faith in my GM.
To throw torpedoes at us.
Yes. Well, I mean, we bribed him to do this, so...
Also true.
It's all our fault. Okay, well... I think we're ready to go.
Yeah,
Ta-
that's
take it
about
away, boss.
where we left off. I might start getting, hate mail from players because of cliffhangers, but hey, that's what makes it fun.
And viewers. Don't forget the viewers. They hate you too.
Oh, and well, I figured the viewers like it, but maybe not.
I can tell you from as a content creator, viewers hate
Don't like
cliffhangers. They despise them. So keep doing them.
Good deal.
All right.
So we pick up right where we left off. Kai is kind of offering up his terminal. We've had a couple of blips. There are folks still outside.
Okay. Did anyone announce? Because Chester doesn't know that there's a ship coming, right?
No, I think I'm the only one aware at this precise moment.
Okay, so Chester's gonna reach out and accept the data terminal. And he's gonna say, we'll figure something out. We'll figure this out, Kai. We'll make it right somehow. And the ominous music continues to play.
He would nod in response. I would say like the alert something on radar tone is probably loud enough that because you're only one deck down, you probably would have at least heard it.
Yeah.
Question: isn't the data terminal telling us something about the ship that Thomas isn't seeing, or is that being relayed?
The terminal or the drive hooked up to the torpedo's radar and whatnot is aware it's out there, and so outside you're probably aware that of what the class is, whereas inside they just know that there is something on sensors or on radar. Would be the difference.
Okay.
Because you have been very careful to not give the drive access to the ship's full sensors and communications.
By the way,
so
this
the data core knows that there is this ship class is nearby based on X, but doesn't know anything else.
Yeah, I would say that would be the trade-off. It's close enough for the radar on the torpedo to pick up on it, but you wouldn't have like location or bearing. But inside they would have that information, but not what kind of ship it is. But both in the cockpit and outside, you are aware that there is something out there now.
Okay. Nigel's gonna key up the comm and ask, "Wait, Duster, you finding a ship out there?"
Yeah, it just popped up on radar. No idea what it is yet, though, but it's heading our way.
Interesting
Dunno if the Wasp had
coincidence that the data core thinks there's a Morgana class ship out here.
June's eyes close and she sighs and she goes, I just finished saying that I was done being chased.
Is this an open comm? Is this going through the whole ship, or is this just to the bridge?
I would do open comm if that was Nigel.
Okay. Well, we're not running yet, so we don't need to worry about being chased. Chester looks down at the data pad and hands it back to Kai, saying, you might end up needing this. And then says to everybody on the bridge, well, he just keeps the mic, hey, Carter, Rebecca, Nigel, you guys might want to come inside.
If Rebecca would pipe up, if we're planning on running, I kind of have things I need to put back together. And then those of you outside would kind of become aware of the hatches and the ports and everything that have been pulled open.
Well, everybody inside.
Well, we gotta close this. Do you need a hand out there closing all that up, or can the three of you get it done pretty quick?
You want fast or you want pretty?
Will it kill us if it's not pretty?
Sounds like fast.
No.
If everything's in the right spot, I think we want maneuverability sooner rather than later. Is that right, Captain June?
Stop calling me captain, and yes, I would like to go. At this point, I assume that Carter would also agree that we at least need to get everything away quickly.
Right. Fast, not pretty. Functional, sure. And like Rebecca starts moving to kind of shove wire harnesses and things back into panels. So she will begin working, but it will take a little bit of time in order to get things buttoned back up so you're not leaving parts of the ship dragging behind you.
Yeah.
Should you suddenly decide to move.
While Rebecca's doing that, Nigel is cobbling together as many cables as he possibly can that are still wrapped around Carter and starts dragging Carter back towards the airlock.
Yep. So I would say Carter would begin at that point at assisting in relocating the abomination of wires and components that is your growing technology science project back towards the one of the airlocks.
June turns to Thomas. When can we expect our new arrival?
Well, they're not within weapons range. They're a significant distance out. At this point, Thomas would have an answer, but Canada does not. Happens a lot.
Yes.
And then I was going to check, I guess, what would be the normal detection, like outer detection range?
Well,
I'm going to check on that.
so the line of a drive is, it's light. It doesn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the fusion drive.
Okay.
Radar returns, it depends on the strength of the radar, but I assume our radar can see beyond the effective range of torpedoes. Otherwise, every torpedo attack would be an amazing surprise.
Yeah.
So
I would say, in order to avoid backing myself into a corner with specifics, as I am wont to do as a GM,
yes.
Being passed around as Rebecca is providing estimates on her getting stuff put together, you would gather that the incoming vessel will be still just shy of long range as she finishes, so you would have an opportunity to decide where to go or what to do. I would think communication range would be closer or further out than that. So you would expect to hear from them, like if they're going to try to communicate with you much sooner than that. But the window is going to be tight unless Rebecca really pushes getting stuff put back together.
I mean, are we planning on actually running? I think we should talk to them.
Oh,
They obviously know
I don't
something's-
want to. Yeah, I don't want to run immediately. And she at this point she's gone down to the next level, where you guys are. And she looks at Kai, looks at the data pad in his hands, looks back at him, goes, "Do you know these people?"
Out of character real quick, was the name of the ship that was being reported to the drone, has that been relayed?
No one.
Because I believe I gave that at the end of the last session.
I thought you
Didn't I?
did.
I think you did,
but-
yeah.
I'm probably horribly mispronouncing this, but we're going to go with it. Amphion? Amphion?
Amphion is good.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nigel would pipe up and say, while he's carrying this data screen in front of his face, and there's an umbilical strap behind his suit helmet, and that's all dangling in front of Carter's helmet screen, and reads on the screen, "Thus does this thing that Data Core thinks this ship's name is the Amphion?"
I don't know the ship or her crew personally, but
It's probably that ship that was at Tycho. I bet you they saw something going on and were going in this general direction anyway. And then they saw the explosions of the unfortunate gentlefolk who were trying to kill us.
Told you we should have boarded it.
I mean, if they were docked there or they were already out here, not unusual for Mars to be patrolling out this direction.
True enough.
Everybody probably saw a ship's drive go off.
Well, we sent out an SOS. I'm assuming most people know that we were out here, but I canceled the SOS. So they are coming because they want something, I assume.
We'll need to stay here and talk to them and explain what happened. If we start to move, they will be very suspicious. So, we just need to stay put, talk things out.
And I would say those of you with prior, especially MCRN service, you would also know, like, broadcasting an SOS and then canceling it would oftentimes, it's kind of like calling 911. They're still going to send, if somebody's investigating, they're still going to come and investigate it, even if you say, okay, you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, there's no, everything's fine, we're all fine here. That doesn't work for anybody.
Yeah.
Especially when ships' drives are going off.
Yes.
It was only a little drive.
Same size as ours, about.
It was a lot of torpedoes.
Well, I guess at this point, we're waiting for everything to be put back together and sitting here.
We might want to unplug the ball of knowledge and power from the torpedo guidance system. Maybe look at like it was a little bit less tampered with. I mean, they're going to know if they get it, if they see it, they're going to know we poked at it, but at least in the interest of being polite.
Would Nigel have heard that?
I'm talking to everybody.
This is still...
Okay.
This is still discussion, and we're frankly speaking in front of Kai as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because he's in this too, one way or another, so.
Nigel would pipe up at this point and ask and point out that this very juncture, it's being very useful.
Yes, but we know that there's a patrol destroyer coming after us. We know her name. And we shouldn't know that. All we should know, when she gets a little closer, we'll be able to identify her, especially with myself and Thomas aboard. And Kai, obviously. But until we can read her nameplate, until she tells us who she is. Well, actually, no, she should be transmitting a thing, so we know who she is.
She'd have an IFF.
Yeah, so her signals out, so we know who she is. Well, never mind. Chester didn't say
At the very
that.
least, she'd identify herself when,
Yeah.
when the inevitable heave to order comes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I imagine that turning up your transponder is a lot like turning on the police lights of a Martian naval ship. The only time the transponders go off is if they're being sneaky.
Martians never do that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Never ever.
So, June at this point is just sighing and doesn't want to deal with this. And she, if Scarlet was able to be here, she would throw it out to Carter and ask for his way in as to whether or not we should disconnect it or just keep it the way it is.
Should we hail them since we've seen them? I mean, what's the light delay at, Thomas? Just make up a number. It'd be within 6 light seconds. There we go.
Yeah, I'd say you'd be far enough out at this point. There'd probably be like a little bit of a delay, but it wouldn't be impossible to hold a conversation.
Yeah.
Well, starting the conversation early may be the way to go. If we just open up a comm and say, oh, hi, Martian Navy ship. We did send out an SOS, but we've taken care of it.
Copy our logs over, too. They'll want to see those.
They're not the police. Like, this isn't their jurisdiction.
They may as well. Mars's jurisdiction is within weapons range of a Martian ship. Let's be honest here.
I guess.
Also, we're probably worth just saying, do we know if there was a bounty on those guys? And
That's
at least
a good
that way,
point.
we don't look like
Bad guys.
Please go away. Yeah. And hey, maybe we get some cash in the out of it as well.
Okay. And June goes up. She floats back up the ladder.
June, do you want to talk to them? I'm sensing some reticence.
I just don't want to do this at all anymore.
We don't have a choice.
I understand that, so I don't have to be happy about it, but I'll do it.
Okay.
I mean, if June wants to feed me some lines, maybe as a former Martian pilot, it may make conversation go a bit easier if I hop on the comm.
Probably. If you want to do that, you pretty much said the things that I would say if I opened up a comm, and you have a better linguistic aptitude for what to say to these people, so you go right ahead.
The other thing is that this is an opportunity to send Kay back to where he belongs. Send Kai back where he belongs.
Personally, if we're going to drop him off anywhere, I'd rather drop him off at Ganymede.
Fair enough.
We'll see what happens. He'll probably come up in the conversation.
Kai would probably clear his throat a little bit and be like, it may also not be a good idea to actually have them dock those crates. And he just kind of head jerks down. It wouldn't take more than opening the wrong one to see that you don't have what they say they are.
Carter rubs his forehead. Chester rubs his forehead.
That'll end up raising a lot more red flags than anything else.
I was hoping this was going to be easy.
Not to mention I guess Carter's he's technically
Chester.
wearing his right now. Wouldn't he?
He's wearing what, his helmet?
Because the heavy armor doubles as
a spacesuit. Yes, he did put on the heavy armor, I think.
Yeah. So,
because he's Carter.
Mm-hmm.
So they might already know. Depending on how good their telescopes are.
They're probably not close enough to get a good visual inspection yet.
Okay. I guess it's a patrol destroyer, not a surveillance craft.
Yeah.
June, when Kai mentioned something, she yells back down. She goes, I thought you didn't know these people. Wait, are they... You just assume that they're gonna know what this cargo was?
Well, it's Martian. If they open the crate, they're going to see Martian goods.
Yes, I didn't want to have them here, but he made it sound like they're gonna be looking for the thing.
Well,
that's
I was
plugged
saying...
into the thing.
I was suggesting we invite them to dock and we exchange Kai over.
No.
But okay, fine.
No.
Chester goes and straps himself into a chair and just crosses his arms.
Even Kai didn't want that to happen.
Yes, I know, I understand. I just wanted it to be... I didn't want things to get complicated, and now they're going to get very complicated.
Everything's always complicated.
Kai's just nodding. And he would look over at you and he'd be like, well, I appreciate you wanting to get me back. But at this point, my place is with... And then he doesn't say it, but again, you know he's talking about the drive.
Yeah. All right.
June sticks her head down the ladder, and goes, so, do you want these people to have it, or are you thinking it's your responsibility and they shouldn't have it? I'm confused.
I think it's more...
It's not something that your average patrol captain is going to know anything about or what to do. And if they start asking questions, it's going to send warnings out all over the system and draw far too much attention to it.
So, Kai, if you think that they are none the wiser about the crew of this vessel or whatever, do you want to be part of our crew for a second?
That seems the most expedient.
Fantastic! Come on up here!
He would float over and his way up the access.
All right, Thomas, should we have our friend here be like a second voice to you, or should we let Kai just talk to them? I still don't really trust you, Kai, no offense or anything, but
None taken.
But I don't know. What should we do?
Both Thomas
personally...
will know what to say. I would know what to say. Kai obviously knows what to say as well. I say we let Thomas have a crack at it. He's got the right...
Roger that.
Yes. And then Kai knows more about the rest of the goings on, and if he has something else to say, he can feed you lines too. Sounds like a plan. Thomas, go ahead.
Chester just mutters donkey balls under his breath.
Mendacious and polyglottal indeed. Thomas flicks up on the comm. Attention, MCRN ship. This is the private vessel Good News. We did just transmit an SOS. We were attacked by pirates, but we've managed to deal with the problem. Thank you for coming to our assistance. If we send you the data we're able to pull off it, would you be able to check the registry and see if there are any bounties against it? And flicks send and waits for a response.
Yep. There is a delay, which is a little bit longer than... Well, no, this one you would get about the relay time that you would expect that the computer would be feeding you back a alert but somewhat bored voice that you're very familiar with of basically a communications tech that's responding to traffic. Vessel Good News, stand by. And then it's quiet for a little bit. How would they handle it?
However the GM wants them to handle it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm trying to put myself in the head of a MCRN captain really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a minute or so goes by, and then another voice gets on. Good news, this is Captain Palmer of the Amphion. Transmitting your logs would be appreciated, but I'd also appreciate hearing the event straight.
Taking a moment to compose himself. Hello, Captain Palmer. Sir? Well, we were coming on a standard transit from Tycho to Ganymede, and we picked up a radar contact. Well, more specifically, we detected a passive return of being pinged. We changed course in case it was pirate bait, and then this pirate lit off his drive and came after us. We did start running and tried to grab it, but we weren't 100% sure we could escape, so we feigned a reactor failure. Came to a dead stop, and this is an armed merchantman. We were able to roll out a few torpedoes and nail them as they came into board.
Are you transmitting your like sensor logs and everything at the same time too?
Yeah.
Okay. A bit of a delay. You would gather he's probably going through the sensor logs real quick, all the while continuing to burn closer. So the delay is getting less and less as time goes on. You say a few torpedoes, but this is interesting. Yeah, you gather he's probably looking at the part where you rolled him off cold and lit him off all at once. And I would say he's like genuinely professionally impressed that you pulled that off the way you did. I also noticed that you're remaining put, and it looks like you have some EVA activity. Do you have any repairs that you require assistance with?
We're just finishing up a survey. We just wanted to make sure we hadn't taken any debris hits during the action. We're looking good. As for the manoeuvre we pulled off, I learnt a few things in my time serving, and our crew's a good bunch.
Okay. At this point, I will need you to go ahead and make a deception roll.
Oh man.
Because while you are relaying events as best you can, some of that is beginning to skirt the edge of reality.
Oh man.
Oh, this is my communication skill of what?
That's better than 0.
I will tell you that the target number on this is pretty low since you have provided the sensor logs, and again, you're not outright lying and contradicting anything that those say. It's just specifically you're starting to bend the truth as to why you're still sitting here.
I'm so glad we didn't actually stick it to a torpedo and fly it around.
Yet.
I'd say those of you in the cockpit would also be seeing some of the status lights going from red, yellow to green, although some of them are flickering back and forth between yellow and green as Rebecca is completing, in air quotes, putting things back together.
She can fix it when we get to Ganymede. It'll be fine.
Yeah, that targeting system for your torpedoes, you don't need that.
It wasn't... She opened up the access tube. She didn't touch the targeting sensors. Why would you put the targeting sensors in the access tube?
You and I both know engineers. You don't ask those questions. And I mean, you pulled a full torpedo out of... Well, no, you didn't pull the torpedo physically out.
Because the guidance system we used was the torpedo guidance, so we have a single dumbfire torpedo in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I was talking to somebody. Do I need to roll? Did somebody need to roll?
We're waiting on Candor to roll.
Nope, that was... Yeah.
I have rolled.
Nope, didn't show up.
Oh.
What was it?
Yeah, I showed up on my... It was an 8. That's why I was groaning.
Ah,
Oh, okay.
interesting. That's...
It's 2 stunt points.
Check to see if there's a social stunt you can do with those, maybe?
I'm looking.
Hey, Cobble Jeff Springer, thank you.
I think it makes an awful lot of sense.
You can make
Besides
something up, too.
The core impress, which is basically add more points onto the next one.
Ah, okay.
That would kind of fit, given that he already sounded like he was impressed by the maneuver.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll probably go for that.
Okay, I have to walk the line here, because that... Well, given that it seems that you've taken care of the problem, we will check our... What would it be? Datanet? Whatever they would call it. Well, we'll check our database to see if the vessel had any bounties on it. If they are a known pirate, we'll make sure that you get what you're owed. As we're in the neighborhood, and to potentially keep any other vultures off of you.
Come with us.
I would be interested in providing a bit of an escort so I could possibly meet the folks that pulled off such a stunt.
Is Chester hearing this conversation, Thomas, or is this just going to your station?
I wouldn't have made any effort to sort of restrict it just to me, but...
So I'm in a... It would have to be sent to, like, whatever my personal communication is.
I'd say unless it had been specifically set up such that it was a private communication, you would have been able to actually tap in to listen and basically keep your mic muted if you wanted.
Yeah, definitely muted. I'm gonna quickly type with Chester typos, but still legible. A message onto Thomas's screen that says, if we tell them not to escort us, we look suspicious. Thomas already knows that, but Chester is paranoid.
Mm-hmm. Captain Palmer, that would be greatly appreciated. We're a bit got cargo and stuff. It's not the most comfortable ship, but would love to set foot aboard a proper MCRN ship sometime, if that's acceptable.
I like it. Okay. Guess it doesn't matter. You're more persuading.
Basically, I'd rather that we went to them rather than them come to us.
Well,
Nope, that's fair. I picked up on that's what you were doing.
Well, they have a slightly bigger ship too.
A little bit. You would know that the conditions on board a full military ship, like if you think that it's a bit Spartan here on the good news, it's even more so on a line ship like that. But
June just kind of leans in and says, "You can sweeten the deal by saying we'll bring dinner."
Nice.
I don't know, is Chester eating it all?
No, he hasn't.
I think he may have done.
There's plenty left. I can cook. My mic is still muted.
But go ahead and roll a persuasion.
There isn't an advantage system in this system, is there?
Not that I'm aware of. I just basically what I do is I account for that when I look at the TN.
Okay.
Which I would say at this point, given the conversation back and forth, June especially would be aware that while you might have sounded a little bit suspicious at the your response to why you were still hanging out, he seems inclined to believe you. So basically, the TN for this persuasion is relatively low.
15.
Okay. I think that's probably something that we could arrange. And then from here, he would go through the specifics that I've, as a GM, been avoiding, as far as giving you like ETA for their specific arrival and all of that sort of information, and then handing you over to the his comms ensign or whatever to finish coordinating those details.
Now, are we docking with a docking bridge kind of thing, or are we bouncing over in spacesuits is the question. I don't know if either of these ships have a docking tube, and that's up to the GM.
Looking at them,
I don't think ours does. It doesn't look like there's any space for one.
Well, they do.
Well, you
fold
have the
flat.
airlocks down there.
Yeah, we have the airlocks, but I don't think they have. I mean, maybe they extend. If you want to say they extend, I'm totally down with that.
Well, but they if they don't fully extend, I think they're set far enough out. And then looking at the picture of the Morgana,
Oh, I need to pull up a picture of that on stream.
beautiful art in the book, by the way. Page 106, 105 and 106, which Green Ronin, fantastic company, excellent art. Very
Exclamation
nice to
point,
allow us to
Expanse.
use their assets.
Let's see, PDFs. 101.
I would say there's the possibility of a hard dock. But I have to sink down. Is that something that the captain of a patrol destroyer would want to do? Because that would leave them somewhat vulnerable if you got jumped.
That's why I was wondering about a bridge, because a bridge can be popped off pretty easily, but maneuvering gingerly for the bellies of both ships to touch is more delicate.
Mm-hmm.
Sirocco class, Raptor class, Morgana. There we go.
What I think would be proposed in this instance, since you are still sitting at rest, is that however many of you would want to come aboard, would make the transfer before both ships get back underway. And then there would be an opportunity to, while you're moving at pace later on, essentially after dinner or whatever, after the visit,
They would just cut thrust and we'd go back over, probably.
right. But basically, since you're still bolting deck plate or hull plates back on, they'd probably rendezvous at basically at your rest in space is a fluid thing.
At rest at our local frame of reference, I suppose.
Yes, there you go.
So for stream, I just put up the basic plan view and deck layout of the Morgana patrol destroyer on screen, so you can kind of see it's actually about the same size, and technically we're actually better armed than they are. I think we have one more PDC
you've got
than they do.
You have a single torpedo tube. They have a double.
Oh, they have a double. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Other
I
than that,
didn't
you're
put
about
too much
equal.
of it on the screen. I didn't want to pull too much out of the book.
Yep.
But
Let's see. I'd have to look at the relative length.
I'm looking at the deck layout.
Yeah, the good news is right at 30 meters long. The Morgana is listed at 31. You're both, I believe, size category medium. Interesting. You're listed as size category large. They're size category medium.
Mm.
Oh, you know
I
what? Look
suppose
at the person, the scale person. Their decks are much shorter than our decks.
Yep.
Because we're a freighter and they're a warship.
Mm-hmm.
So we're actually a lot bigger than them. We're probably...
Well, but lengthwise, you're only a meter longer, according to the stat blocks. But the module that the good news is taken out of, I think, is an older. It's possible that they've adjusted some things when they did the Ships of the Expanse book.
Yeah.
Judging from the size of the scale of the person on board the deck, I would say that we're probably a good 15 meters longer than they are. 15
the
to
size
20.
category isn't just overall length. That also comes into play with handling.
And mass,
and it would
all
make
that,
sense that they are a better handling vessel than an armored merchantman, basically.
Yes. But they don't have Thomas at the helm, so,
No, they don't. But you know that the standard MCRN crew aboard a vessel like that would not be slouches.
Definitely not. All right.
So a little bit of time will pass, unless there's something in the middle that you would like to do.
Get inside, maybe.
Yeah, I would say you would have had plenty of time to finish getting yourself and your rat's nest of cables and drive and random torpedo bits. And then, kind of as you expected, is it'll take a little bit longer. So Rebecca has a little bit more time to finish since they actually are rendezvousing with you as you sit. They have to, end over and slow down. So she would slow down her pace a little bit.
Do things a little
see
bit
some
better.
of the lights that were flickering, the ready status, starting to cycle back over more solidly to green.
Nice. Well, that's nice. So Chester excuses himself, unstraps, and goes down to the airlock, trying to meet. Why can't I've suddenly forgotten Final's name.
Nigel.
Nigel and Carter.
It's okay. I don't remember your Dustin name either. It's fine.
Yeah, whatever, Belter. He sits there waiting near the airlock, and when I'm assuming Carter's in there too.
Mm-hmm.
And he smiles at them as they walk in, and in his best classic movie impression, because Chester likes some ancient movies, like ancient, says, "Guess who's coming to dinner?"
Nigel goes, there's food. Kibble?
Chester shakes his head. Philistine.
Okay.
Yes,
Dustin.
there will be food. No, it won't be kibble. Ever want to look at the inside of a Martian ship?
Now I wonder what I can get from the inside of a duster ship.
Chester
What
sees
fun details.
Chester sees his expression and immediately regrets opening his mouth.
June just kind of, she's still upstairs, and but I assume that are you still talking over comms, or are you just greeting them?
I was just greeting them.
Okay,
I wouldn't have
never mind.
transmitted that because I face to face.
Okay. But she's looking at Thomas at this point. She's like, "So, are we all going over there? I assume you need to be there because you're the one who was our voice just now."
Yeah, I think me, Chester as the two former Martians, possibly you as well, seeing as you're the person who's the good with the words and the talking and the stuff.
Very, very well said. I think we should have Carter stay here. What do you think?
I think so.
Okay, all right. I'll go talk
Just
to
in
Carter.
case anyone needs to keep an eye on Kai.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do that. So she would have that conversation, obviously, with Carter, and I honestly don't think that Carter would argue. Carter would most likely be happy to stay behind. But
There'd probably be a comment about taking, a couple of hours just to get untangled.
yeah.
in his Boston Belter accent that I love so much. Well, Chester's going to start cooking. As much as you can cook on a spaceship.
June will help.
It doesn't take too long to do. Preparation is generally kept to a minimum. And you don't exactly have a lot of fresh produce to work with, but you do have some decent rations left still that you can sort through.
Chester is avoiding using MCRN rations.
There you
Chester
go.
is trying to make it not be like MCRN rations, so it's something
I
different.
would
for
say, rations being out on the open market would be a much more common thing. Because it's food, it's like even now you can go out and buy, MREs.
Well, actually, you can't. It's technically illegal to buy an MRE. Did you know that?
Really? I did not know that. I guess
Technically,
it's just
you're not
other
allowed to.
packaged foods.
You can, and I think it's one of those laws that nobody enforces but it's technically illegal to buy an MRE.
Did not know that. Learn something new every day. But yeah, I would say just because you have a whole, collection of, obvious MCRN rations, that would be much less common. And even if it were like illegal, an MCRN captain would have to be really, really nitpicky to call you on that.
Jester just dotting his I's and crossing his T's.
Yep. But you can specifically go, prepare them in a way that would attempt to disguise their origin.
Well, he's also trying to make it taste really, really good, And if you want me to do a roll somehow, I can.
So you're saying MCRN rations don't taste good? Is that what you're saying?
They taste better than the dog food the Belters eat. I mean, there's some kibbles that are okay, but
yeah,
they call it kibble. It's pet food.
But go ahead and make. I don't even know what roll that would be.
I was just trying to do something that would trigger a roll.
Nope, that's okay. I'm trying to think of what that would be.
There's not like a cooking skill.
Mm-mm.
I would say it's probably either dexterity or intelligence. Would be.
I think dexterity is normally used for making sort of tech things. So I think that would work.
Yeah. So whatever you want to say.
I could see either of those, because also the intelligence comes into the flavor profiles, and if you're attempting to disguise them or make them taste good, it's a matter of knowing what combinations work well. You can choose either. I could see either of them working.
Well, as they say, all cooking is a form of chemistry.
Yeah, I do have the science focus, but it's theology, so
cooking is both an art and a science.
So I'll just do a straight intelligence roll.
Maybe you can use your theology to have a Hail Mary in your cooking.
That's not too bad.
11. Okay.
I almost muffed it.
You've done better. You've done better, but you're also working on a time limit. So that certainly didn't help. There were a couple of things you could have done if you had a little bit more prep time that you don't have, so you can't do them.
So he tried to make little cannolis, because pasta is something that you can do in space. We've learned from the Expanse, because he made lasagna. So the cannolis exist, and they look good and they smell good, but they look good. They don't look good. They smell good, but they definitely look like an 8-year-old helped to make them. They're a little torn, little lumpy on the sides. But the faux tomato sauce on top of them is just excellent, and there might be a little too much to cover up how ugly they are.
Yeah,
but he's got them.
Yep. So you get that all put together. The Amphion will pull up alongside, and I think we are hitting about the hour mark. So I didn't know if we wanted to. Do we want to go a little longer before we take a break, or do we want to go ahead and take a break before we jump into?
I'm okay. Nab just walked away with the baby. I'm not sure. Do you want to take a break now, or should we?
Sure, let's do that.
Okay, we'll do an intermission right now, because I think we need. Yeah, hi baby. She's grinning at me. So yeah, we'll take a brief intermission right now. People can go do the things that people need to do to stay alive.
Yep.
And I will push the button. All right, we're on intermission. I'm going to hang out here for a little bit, at least until Nab gets back. So I'll just chat with you. But yeah, 30 Mile Sniper. This is post-Eros incident. So Eros has already crashed into Venus, but it's pre-MCRN and UNN shootout over Ganymede. So this is between seasons 1 and 2 of the show. There's quite a bit of time in there, and that's where we're kind of existing right now. Also, as Squirrel rightly and often says, this is not the show, and this is not the books. This is our universe of the Expanse, so things might not play out the same way. So, it's it's an RPG, so it's going to do what it's going to do. Apparently my music stopped playing. What's going on with that? Let's see, it's turned that on to repeat. There we go. The legitimate salvage angle on the MREs. Yes, they are a legitimate salvage. But yeah, if any of you haven't played this yet, or are interested in it, or even just want to look at pretty pictures, type ! in Expanse, and you go to the Green Ronin store, and that's their whole Expanse collection. They just released a book like a couple months ago for Beyond the Ring, for stuff for like other worlds and other solar systems. It's really, really cool. It's got lots of really neat pictures in it. Yeah, Bilbo, exactly. Fan animation movies. Yeah, someone today being an expert with Revolution War. Only, I think it's going to be a little bit different because a lot of the movies and stuff are recorded digitally and backed up in lots of places. So it's a lot more, the information is less obscure. But yeah, 100% Chester watches the original series Star Trek movies. At least the militaristic ones, because, you know, Mars. But yeah, I did add, I don't know if you noticed, in the lower left-hand corner there, I did add... Oh, not that. I did add a picture of the good news, which I'm going to adjust to make it the same. It's coming up soon here. Original Star Trek, the graphics hold so in the Expanse. Yes, 30 Mile Sniper, yes. They hold up very well, clearly. There it is. That's the good news, as I envisioned her in Space Engineers. In the lower left corner there. The things on the sides are radiators, which the Expanse ignores, but I didn't want to.
You rebel, you.
Yeah, well, you know, I know enough about space to care about those little things. Those radiators aren't nearly big enough, but I figure if they have magic space drives that can, on a few hundred kilograms of fuel, take you from Mars to Earth and back again at absolutely obscene velocities, then they probably have magic radiators too. But yeah, there's actually an interior to all that. I streamed that a few weeks back. But yeah, it was a fun build. And I tried to replicate the interior of the ship as best I could. It made some changes, but it has all the decks, it has all the, as a kitchen and everything, and then it's got the main deck and everything. It's pretty good. It is powered by magic, yes. Well, I mean, Bilbo, obscene velocity is the point of doing a Brachistochrone trajectory, because it is the fastest way to get anywhere. It is not the most efficient. And I think they burn that thruster for like 99% of the trip. They're only turning it off on approach and on turnover. The efficiency of an Epstein drive is incredible. Brachistochrone. I may have spelled that wrong, but it means a trajectory where you're accelerating all the way to and decelerating halfway through. So your velocity is changing the entire way. Jarhead, it's only expensive if you don't have magic space drives like they do in the Expanse. I don't know if they actually use that word in the books, but that's what they use. I got that word from Scott Manley because he wanted me to fly safe.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that Scott Manley did a presentation at Eve FanFest this year?
He was a huge Eve player for a long time.
Yeah, still is, I think, to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Not as much as he was, I think.
Well, I think that's everybody
I-
who played Eve in the old days. Nobody is as
Yeah.
much of a fan as they were.
That's almost nearly not the same game.
I think from when he did his video about the Fountain War, he said that he just reads a lot about the goings on. He doesn't actually play anymore.
Oh, maybe.
That sounds about right.
I mean, after Fountain War, the combat changed quite a bit, I think.
Is it still point and click? The way it was? Or?
It always was, and I think it's, as far as I know, it still is, but the time dilation and the scope and scale of combat got so large that it's like you can have a 24-hour battle, and with the time dilation, it will take like it will go on for like weeks.
Well, just because the
like
sim speed goes down, yeah.
Yeah, it's like SimSpeed.
I just remember flying around in a Hugin and causing trouble.
Yeah.
I had that, and then I had the other expensive ship I had was a Sleipnir, which was fun. But I think my favorite ship was I was a dirty Minmatar. And the buddy I played with was a Mar, so he and I in game would joke about that a lot. But I remember I caught I was just going through low sec space, and I caught what was it called? The obscene looking Galenti cruiser, a Thorax. It might have been the Tech 2 version of the Thorax, actually. And they were sitting there, they had been gate camping, and they had just jumped a ship and destroyed it and had taken its cargo. So they're blinking red. And I had just jumped through, and I see this blinking red, and they stop, right? And they're waiting to see what's jumped through, but they were within weapons range of my passive shield tank, all autocannon PvP Hurricane.
Yep.
And I locked him, scrambled him, and blatted him in because he was taking fire from the gate guns in maybe 40 seconds.
Yep.
And he's sitting there, he was like, in chat, he was like, fair play, or something like that. And I got a couple of really expensive blasters and a couple things out of there, so that was fun. It was one of the few solo PvP accomplishments that I ever did, because usually in solo PvP I would just die because it's Eve.
Yeah, it's easy, and it's too easy, and the meta really matters.
Yeah, I mean, when I told you autocannon passive shield tank Hurricane, you knew exactly what I was talking about, because that is one of the only builds that works in PvP with a Hurricane.
Yeah, or did rather, because as far as I remember, autocannons got nerfed after that.
What? They were already so pathetic compared to blasters and things.
Yeah, it was something. I think it was something to do, because I remember there was a meta. The next version of that was to do that on the T2 version of the Hurricane.
There was no T2 version of the Hurricane when I was playing. So
yeah, that was what was the special version of that. Anyways, it was so ridiculous that you could bring it to a fleet battle, and it would be able to tank serious damage.
That's insane.
Passively. But you could upscale the same thing to, what was the T2 version of the Tempest?
That was a Sleipnir. I had one.
A Sleipnir? No, it's not the Sleipnir. It was something else.
Oh, not the Tempest. The Tempest. No, I don't think there was a Tech 2 battleship at the time. This was 2006. That's the last time I played.
Yeah, so last time I played was probably 2000 and probably 2010. No, 2012-ish, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Anyways, there was a tier 2 version of the Tempest, which is primarily, tier 2 battleships at the time were primarily used for either fleet comm or for you could use them in missions. People used to use Ravens all the time in level 4 missions.
Yeah.
Well, now you would use some of these ships in missions, because you could set up that T2 version of a Tempest to tank all of the damage in a level 4 mission with no active shield boost.
Holy crap, that's a lot of tank.
Yeah. Yes.
That's insane.
And of course, you could also dish out so much damage because Minmatar kinetic weapons didn't consume energy because they were literal power recharges.
Yeah. But they suffered because their range was less than like railguns. Well,
yes,
the autocannons had slightly better range than blasters, but blasters just hit so stupid hard.
Yes, and blasters were really like super up close, and unless you were using the 1400 millimeter howitzers, which are aka Volkswagen launchers.
Yes.
You would have to use those on any battleship if you wanted to compete at range, but you would still be outranged even by Amar beam lasers.
Yeah. But those shells, if they hit like a truck. Like, I thought it was a good balance, at least back then. It's probably the power creep of the ships. They had to change the weapons because the ship's power crept so much.
Yeah, and the economy changed too because they had the whole Plex experiment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you could buy Plex.
Yeah, I remember that.
You could exchange Plex for in-game stuff, right? So
it was reducing the amount of ISK, yeah. Things are weird.
I don't think that actually still exists. I could be wrong because I haven't seen it, but I could be. I honestly haven't looked in years.
Yeah, I don't care. Since Eve, I've never touched another MMO really. Atlas doesn't really count because it's not the same kind of thing, you know. But I paid a company $15 a month for
another job,
4 years to have another job. Yeah. Yeah, 30 miles an hour power creep spoils everything eventually. Exactly. I did name my Tempest Prospero though, and anytime somebody got it, I was very happy. Everything else is named after songs I enjoyed at the same time. That was like some of the most fun in Eve is you get a new ship and you name it and you play with it and you have fun with it until you realize how you're supposed to use it, and then it's not fun anymore.
Yeah. Well, also at that time there was no customizability for outside of the fit for the ship. There was no this was a time before cosmetics existed in games, right?
Yeah.
And so all of this talk around one of the biggest things that was a talk in the Eve forums before I left was wanting to be able to customize your ships. And then you see in so many games now the ability to do that, right?
Yeah.
Custom skins for your character and stuff like that were not a thing in Eve.
Yeah, definitely. There were some good times I had in Eve, but I'm so glad I don't play anymore.
Yeah, I got over it after. For me, it was the politics that was like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. Eve is one of those games that, at least back then, was a lot more fun when you were still learning how to play, and once you learn how to play, it was less fun.
Yeah, once you reach a saturated mass of complexity and I would say political turmoil, you eventually got to the point where it's like, why am I putting this much effort into this?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, when I was on second shift and single, and I was spending probably 6 to 9 hours a day playing the game, it was so stupid. And I just no. And I sold a paperclip with my account attached for $500, so I got
nice
40% of my money back. Not bad. I got it trained up to do carriers and then sold it. So there's a de Trevny still flying around Eve. Well, unless the person who bought that account, well, not account, character went away. Anyway, I gotta go get a drink of water, and then when I come back, we'll be ready to go. I think if everyone else is back. But
okie dokie, I shall do the same.
I shall return. I have returned.
Do you have like a water dispenser right next to your desk or something? That wasn't
No.
very long.
There's a bathroom, and I put my face under the sink and I guzzle water from the sink.
Oh, I see. Like a trough.
Yeah, well, he doesn't use the massive water bottle that I bought him.
No, that I bought me.
Well, that I told you to buy.
It smells musty.
Okay, so I have to wash it.
No, well, see, the thing is, this is why I don't like the big reusable water bottles. I prefer glass, because no matter how you wash it, it either tastes musty or like soap.
Okay.
Wow.
I will wash it. I will put vinegar and soap in it and let it sit for a day, and hopefully that will remove the unpleasant flavor.
This is why I like my, I think it's full pint. I'm not sure exactly how big it is. Like pottery mug that I keep on my desk.
Nice. You
I
have that
have
just
two
so
that
you
are
can
about the same
slam it
size.
down and yell another, right?
No, I would certainly not do that. I have two. One of them is the one mug, and then yes, it has the eye. When you look down at the bottom, it stares back at you. And then I have another one that has like a, believe it or not, very on brand, a squirrel sort of like heraldry. There's an excellent pottery shop at one of the Ren Fair in Kansas City that I purchased several things from.
I could do that with this pewter mug that belonged to my great-grandfather from World War II when he was promoted in the RCAF, but I don't think I should do that.
Yeah.
Pewter, probably not the best thing to drink out of.
Mm-hmm.
No, probably not. But I mean, what didn't kill you, right? So
Yeah, what didn't kill you gave you brain damage. Stronger, something, whatever.
Yeah.
I did it wrong.
same.
Yeah, same. All right. Well, I think I will kill the intermission screen unless Candor isn't back yet.
I'm back.
All right, and we will go. Off to dinner.
So who all is going?
I think myself and Thomas and June.
I think so.
Yes, I think so. I don't think you would want to invite the unusual belter who is currently wrapped up in a bunch of cables and untangling another belter who is also a political magnate, so that we don't know
Yes.
anything about. I don't
Yeah.
think you want any of
Absolutely.
those at that particular party.
I don't know, it could be hilarious.
And Rebecca would have zero interest.
Yeah, it's people, and yeah. Oh, I don't know. She might want to look at the inside of the ship, but
I think Rebecca's probably busy sorting cables.
yeah, shaking her head at you. How dare you, Titan,
Probably.
like this? How dare you?
Sounds like the beginning of a love story.
Very well could be.
So you package up your prepared food and bounce across.
We just hold our breath and jump, right?
I mean, you can certainly try.
No, we're not doing that. I am putting a spacesuit on like a sane person.
Up to you. So you would, and then all of this would have been, communicated and arranged for, so they would be expecting you, and you would all hop across. When you arrive, cycle through the airlock. The difference in atmosphere is immediately noticeable, as you would expect when setting foot on a full warship. Things are obviously designed for efficiency over, not so much over practicality, but over like creature comforts. But you are welcomed by Captain Palmer, as well as there's I see with the crew, there would be an individual in the uniform of a Marine standing there as well. Not obviously hostile, but they are welcoming outsiders onto the ship, and the captain is standing there, so a guard is certainly normal.
Yeah, appropriate.
The captain himself is not armed. I will say that, so you don't get the feeling as you come on board that you're being captured. But he welcomes you on board, steps over to an intercom panel and relays to the bridge that you're you have arrived and that the bridge can coordinate with the good news now to get underway. And so you would feel the drive kick off.
I guess Carter's driving would be my guess.
It's a scary thought.
Oh no.
And that's how you were all left on an MCR?
Maybe Kai's driving.
As the dusters steal the ship.
The Belters of State. This is now an OPA vessel.
Yeah.
pulls out the spray paint, starts spraying OPA logos everywhere.
I just imagine, the flag gets pulled down and the OPA flag gets run up.
Yeah.
Wait, what? I don't see that there's necessarily operate crew quarters on 3. I guess 4 is technically the galley. So you'd be led up to the galley. Most of the crew is still on duty, but the captain would be making small talk on the way up. You can see that both he and the Marine would have taken notice of June when they arrived, but haven't said anything outside of introductions. But June has grown to expect that, and I'm sure she has dressed for the occasion.
She has. She isn't.
I mean, we had to wear a spacesuit to get over here.
She isn't overly. It's not overly dressed. You can stuff fabric into spacesuits.
I actually don't know about the Expanse spacesuits.
Let's be honest. June would specifically have had clothes tailored.
Yes.
That for situations like this.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't work, but somehow do.
So, but what she's wearing is more like a really fashionable pantsuit. She's not wearing a dress, so. Anyway, a very feminine pantsuit, but yep.
Sorry, I'm putting up the 3 decks that we would have seen up onto the stream.
There you go. But you would be, escorted, led to the mess that's on deck 4 there, where there is also some food prepped, but then you also have yours. We don't need to necessarily RP, full on small talk around the table unless you guys really want to. June, you would definitely pick up very quickly that, while the captain is a professional and military, he's not going to let you just run around the ship poking things and asking lots of technical questions. But you also gather that he doesn't seem overly suspicious of the 3 of you or the circumstances as have been provided. He seems quite interested as dinner progresses as to, he asks some specific technical questions about the maneuver with the torpedoes that you pulled and exactly how you pulled everything off. Would you, from your perspective, would you reveal that the SOS was in the SOS call was invented to sucker them in, or do you maintain the
Well, it sort of wasn't, because we sent out one SOS call that was help with being oppressed, and then the second one was, oh no, our reactors failed. That we'll probably reveal the second one was a ruse.
Gotcha.
But I'm sure he would be able to appreciate the rationale behind that.
Yeah, and that's what I would. If he's clued in on the fact that was a ruse was part of the plan, he would he would certainly compliment June because he would have recognized your voice, that you sounded very authentic. And essentially he'd kind of make the joke of if you haven't considered a career in acting, you're wasted out here in space.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoy my job out here. It's fun.
Jester's
Well, if
watching.
you ever change your mind, I'll gladly provide a reference.
Oh, thank you very much.
I like this captain. Jester's watching everyone eat the.
He's, I guess to describe him, he's a little on the younger side, which wouldn't be unusual for a posting like this.
So he's like a lieutenant or a lieutenant commander kind of thing.
Yeah, he's of a more junior rank, but that's not unusual for a smaller vessel.
Yeah.
Though these patrol destroyers do tend to get thrown to the wind and operate very independently. He seems to have a little bit of cut and polish. He's not physically, he's not quite the sort that would have stepped right off of a recruiting poster for Mars. I don't have any other specifics other than that, but that's okay. But yeah, the dinner would progress, and you begin, making progress towards Ganymede at this point. I guess, is there anything in particular you would attempt to do or say or accomplish over the course of the meal or some of the small talk before and after?
Not really.
June would be actively gauging every single person at the table.
Okay.
So
Is it just the captain and the guard, or is like the first officer here too?
You would, as the ships get back underway and as dinner progresses, the captain is the only one that sits down to eat with you.
Okay.
But a couple of the other officers do come through. Usually, you would be aware from your background that, like, when they're bringing in to pass reports to the captain, it's reports that could be electronically sent, but they're like the crew is coming to check the visitors out, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's unusual, so they want to see. Yeah.
And then
June.
the captain does provide introductions, and yes, word gets around about June very quickly.
there's a lady on board.
Well, I mean, there's ladies on board the ship too.
Yes, but
Yeah.
like when you're serving in the military,
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
different.
Yes. So there would be some, general small talk questions about, your guys' history, your background, ships that you would have served on, stuff like that. But none of it is overly, you wouldn't gather like calculated or intelligence gathering, it's just the captain kind of making
Shop
small
talk.
talk and
Yeah.
what you would expect from, folks that have, or either actively serving or have served. You do end up seeing maybe not all of the crew, but a fair amount of them.
Yeah.
While keeping track, you would gather that the ship is running probably pretty close to the standard, 8 to 9 that you would expect.
Of the
and then
people.
he would at one point it's actually when the first officer comes in, the captain. His first name is Yancey, by the way. That would get relayed now that you're here.
Yancey
But Captain
Palmer.
Palmer, would relay to you that the ship in question did actually have a bounty. It would have been a bounty on it. It's not, terribly large, but it was there. And so he would relay the information on that to you.
I'm
Yay,
imagining.
money.
I'm imagining Thomas doing like a fist pump.
It's not super large. But
Yeah, but it's more that, maybe it'll cover a couple of the torpedoes we hucked at him.
I was just saying, given your torpedo expenditures, if you were actively in the bounty hunting business, you probably wouldn't have broken even. But you survived. You won.
Yeah.
So that wins.
So throughout the meal, Chester obviously he's talking along, and he's comfortable on MCRN ships, so he's out of his shell a little bit. He did wear one of the nicer suits that June picked out for him.
Yay.
And he's also paying very close attention to people who are, because I'm assuming some of the crew is like grabbing some of the food as they come in and come out too. Paying very close attention to everyone who's eating the mutant cannoli, and is trying to gauge if they're enjoying it or if they're being polite.
Okay. Roll a perception seeing. Unless you have something you feel would better fit.
I have that focus.
Okay.
Stun
A
points on
14 and 3
perception.
stun points.
Wow, that's a really good roll for a perception check. I can't think of anything to use those stunt points on other than because we're in a social setting. Just having this crew is going to have a positive view of the good news and the people that they know on it.
Okay.
Again, just making friends wherever he goes, trying to desperately.
Yep. I would say with that roll, you pick up on the fact that as you were kind of aware when you created it, given the time constraints you had, it wasn't your best work. But they do seem to enjoy it as they come through. The first officer would probably be one. It would be more like a couple of the officers that come in actually stop to, grab food. A couple of the other random like crewmen coming through, probably not going to grab food off the table in front of the captain. But the first officer would like he would take a plate as a little bit of small talk, and standing there would raise the question who made the cannolis, and sort of remark that like he picks up on some of the flavors, so you gather he might have figured out where the food came from, but no comment is made on that. And he just would make the remark that he really wishes a member of the crew of the Amphion had your flair for taking, basically the rations that they're provided and making them a little more something, but taking them up that extra notch.
Chester can't stop smiling. He's so happy.
Yeah.
He jots down electronically kind of what he did and what he sourced it from, completely forgetting that he was going to try and hide what they had, and sends it over. Like I asked him if it's like, do you want me to send this file over to you? It's kind of the instructions of how I made these, and I can, so that way, if you guys have extra time, I know there's not a lot of time on one of these ships, but for a special occasion, you guys can make it yourself.
Oh, you know what it's like on a ship out here. It's hours and hours in boredom followed by so he would readily accept, though admitting that he has very little talent in the kitchen, but you never know. You get the right yeoman or ensign or officer transfer aboard that knows their way around the galley.
I mean, it's following instructions. Just treat it like you're tearing down a rifle, just step by step.
You say that, but I could burn a salad if by some chance we had one out here, or
June
whatever
laughs.
the Martian equivalent of burning a salad would be.
Martians can burn salads.
There are salads that you actually cook, so there's that.
Touche. But yeah, you would spend some time. Then the captain say, well, I do have duties that I need to attend to yet. I believe if you're amenable to it, we might not be able to accompany you all the way to Ganymede, but we can get you close enough to make sure that you're less likely to be bothered by any ne'er-do-wells that might be lurking about.
We really
Thanks very
appreciate.
much, Captain.
Yeah, we really appreciate this, and this was I really enjoyed this dinner. I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad of obviously that you came out to try and help us, but I'm doubly glad that we got the opportunity to meet you and your crew.
Well, this is one of the reasons that we're out here. I know tensions are high at the moment, but we do what we can where we can.
Well, thank you.
Chester's still smiling and tries to make eye contact with June with a "see, we're not all bad" look on his face.
June sees the look and just kind of gives a look back of, I never said you were all about. Like, it's just
Chester
kind
has
of,
no idea what she's trying to say to him.
yeah.
Chester has no
But-
clue.
Anyway.
Transmitter, but no receiver.
So, but June she's happily not feeling like the captain right now because Thomas was their go-to person in this. So she just kind of looks toward Thomas and gives him like a slight incline of her head, meaning this is wrapping up, so you might want to wrap it up.
Thomas nods back and, well, basically, again, thanks the captain for his everything he's done and his hospitality. And I suppose we need to make a move.
Yeah. So I mean, if they're amenable, we just head on back.
He'd step over to a panel to, an intercom or whatever he would have to do to basically relay order to coordinate to cut drives on both ships.
Shouts at a midshipman.
I mean, the ship's not that big. He probably could just holler up the corridor, but he'd have a little more decorum than that.
Yeah.
Whether he would use his pad or step over to an intercom, whatever would be most appropriate. He would at this point say his farewells and head forward. The Marine would politely, but remain shadowing you as you get your suits put back on.
Thomas would probably make a point of just asking the Marine to check his seals and stuff, seeing as we have an odd number of people, and I'm assuming we'd be sort of doing a buddy system, just for that extra bit of hey, I trust you. I don't think you're the enemy kind of thing. There's no reason to be suspicious of me.
And they would do so. After you would gather, a professional level of evaluation that none of you have a weapon or something stashed in your spacesuit and are going to try to hijack the ship.
That's what he thinks.
No.
But would as you turn around and get your helmet put on, would help check all of your seals and would then verify that you're good to go.
Well, I think we make our way back.
Yeah, away we go.
We'll make our way back to the ship. Chester is riding high right now. He is feeling great. Nothing went wrong. And how could this get any worse? This would be great. Nothing can go wrong. He thinks to himself.
Loud, right?
No,
I mean, you've had
internal monologue.
probably a couple of hours of traveling in close proximity to an MCR ship that's probably scanned and visually checked your whole every square inch. No, nothing bad could happen.
Chester's not thinking about that. He's just
That's
thinking
fair.
that everything went wrong, or nothing went wrong. He was expecting someone to be hauled off in chains, practically. Probably one of the Belters, which is why he left them behind.
Oh, we should have brought them with us.
I mean, honestly, if we had brought Carter with us, it'd be a great way to get him out of it.
It could have been. We're going to need your companion to stay with us. It turns out there's active warrants.
Yeah.
Nope, that's all right. But as you get back, the ships would kind of open up a little bit more distance. They would have gotten closer to make the transfer of personnel go a little bit easier. You arrive back on your vessel and you're making progress towards Ganymede.
Big sigh from Chester. That was fun.
Yeah, it was nice. It was good to be able to be with people and just be people.
I'm glad they liked the cannoli.
I can tell that you are glad.
Did you like the cannoli? Did you like it?
I did. It
Yes.
was quite good. I'm very glad to have had it. So I suppose now we have a friendo following us, and hopefully if there's any more trouble they can take care of it for us. Do you
Or-
suppose that once we get to Ganymede they are gonna just go on their merry way?
Well, Captain mentioned that we weren't. He didn't think he could send us all the way to Ganymede. I mean, he's got his assigned patrol sector, but he's probably gonna fly us through it and then keep an eye on us as we go to Ganymede. But since we're going to Ganymede, that's not a problem. We still need to figure out what we're going to do with the football there. I still say we just give it to Kai and let him loose, and then it doesn't come back to us. Because I feel like that if we don't do that, it's going to come back to haunt us.
I still want to get a better handle on Kai and his attitude and everything. For the most part, it seems like he's ready to just go along with what is going on. So, as of right now, I'm okay with that. I just need to be able to really gauge how good of an actor he might be.
I mean, you're probably the best on the ship to be able to do that.
I am aware of that, which is why I said I needed to do it. So I'm going to I'm just going to take my time and get to know him a little bit better, and hopefully I can tell if he's somebody that we can trust not to get us in trouble.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Chester, did you make enough for people here to have some?
Oh yeah, there's some up in the warmer. Oh, I didn't tell them. He pulls out his pad and said, "Hey, Carter and Nigel and Rebecca, and Kai too. Yes, I'd made enough for everybody. I forgot to mention it's in the war. Did you get food?"
My guess is Carter has found it already and has already eaten, because he's had something like this before where he finds food and just eats it.
Oh, I think that's because Chester licked it in an attempt to keep it to himself.
Yes.
And therefore he was honor bound to consume it all.
Obviously, yeah.
Indeed.
You after it, you call out to the crew. You hear the mic key up, and all you hear is
better than kibble, huh?
wouldn't go that far, Duster.
He'll never give you any satisfaction that way, Chester.
That's okay.
Well, I think I'm gonna just go upstairs and I'll check in with Kai and make sure he's eaten too.
I included Kai in the transmission, but yeah.
He didn't say anything.
Is it? At what time is it? GM-ish? Ship time? That was dinner, right? So it's late-ish.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. Given closing with the Amphion and meal and whatnot, I'd say it would be reasonably late. Not super late, but getting on into ship's evening.
Well, we've had a big day.
Yeah.
That too.
Chester says his farewell to June and goes and passes out. Like
Is
belly
he in
full.
his suit?
Well, we desuited, hung our suits up where they belong.
I'm talking about your suit that you wore
Chester
to
can-
dinner.
Chester walks into his room, closes the door, undoes his belt, lowers his pants, takes off his shirt, in his skivvies, lays down in his bunk, and goes to sleep.
Well done. Very well role played.
Goodness.
June just knocks on Kai's door. And that was a very well placed knock. And just goes, Ty, are you in there?
It's open.
Okay. She opens it up, and she doesn't come in because she feels like that would be like super awkward and weird. She just kind of is in the doorway, and she asks, "Did you get anything to eat?"
Yeah, I grabbed some stuff from the galley.
So everything went well over there. Nothing, I didn't pick up on anything that could cause alarm or concern. And I wanted to just let you know that I am thankful for how understanding you've been of our situation. And I apologize if I came off abrasive at the beginning there, and I just don't want anybody to be hurt out of any of this anymore.
I'd say he's probably got a bottle or bulb or whatever it is you would carry, water around with.
It'd be a bulb, yeah.
There you go. Then he takes a drink, and then let's see. You are under thrust, so you'd have some gravity, so it would get set down. I appreciate that, and I mean, I don't have a lot of choice but to be understanding of your situation, given my situation, and I appreciate that you've been understanding of what I can and can't share. I know this would be much easier if I could, but... And he kind of gives a shrug.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, I've already told you more than I probably should have.
And I got that. I gathered that. And I, again, appreciate it. I don't expect, I'm not gonna hang it over your head that we saved you. You are aware of it, and you've already shown that you appreciate that. So I'm not gonna hang that over your head. But I do want to make sure that you know that we have already seen quite a bit of death. We had to, when we took this ship over, having it floating out there,
salvaged. Otherwise, we sent pirates.
the rest of your crew, as I'm sure you gathered, was not able to survive, and so we've all seen a lot more death than I think any of us have ever wanted to see. And it's all, to me, it's all just boiling down to this ship. I've never had to deal with that before, in that same way. And it just seems like a whole bunch of bad luck to me, but I don't want you compounding the bad luck, if you know what I mean. And so I would appreciate it if at any point there is something that you could tell us that will help with that mental state that I just mentioned. I think it would be easier for all of us to trust you even more. And I look forward to hopefully being able to get past that. As long as we're able to talk to each other openly, you won't get any more grief from me.
He gives he's basically kind of hanging out in the acceleration chair. He had his pad sitting there as well, reading a magazine, playing a game, just kind of idly doing whatever it is one does. And he would nod, and you can tell there's a pause while he's thinking exactly what it is and how phrasing what he wants to say. I can appreciate your desire to not see any more death, though I think given the state of things at this point, that's if you'll pardon my saying so, somewhat naive in the grand scale of things, but in the small scale, directly here, I would agree. And if it does make you feel better, while I have a very specific set of priorities that may not match your own, and match the priorities of everybody on this ship, I hope you would believe me when I say that what it is that I'm attempting to protect and safeguard does have that similar goal.
I can't fully understand, but I can empathize. I'm hoping that, I mean, I'm from Earth. There are a lot of people dying down on Earth constantly. And so I've seen death before, and I know I'm going to see more death, but I mean mostly in conjunction with this ship. And so here I'm hoping, Kai, that if we have a good enough rapport and relationship and you trust us enough, I mean, you obviously, we've let you live. and we don't want you dead. You know that. I hope you know that. And so I'm hoping that we can expect the same from you. That if we can find a way to let you go and do the things that you need to do, that we won't have to worry about more chases because of our choice to let you continue to live. Does that make sense?
I think so. And go ahead, before he responds any further, go ahead and roll. I would say this could actually either be like a straight communication, or I think it would fall under your not as much perception, empathy, but so somewhere in there. Basically, as you're very much trying to meet Kai where he's at, and okay, we had some frustrations before because we were both working slightly different positions, and you're explaining where it is you're coming from.
So maybe bargaining in a way?
Yeah, I can. It's not often that June would probably lay all of her cards on the table the way she is when it comes to bargaining. But I think that does fit, because there are times that that's what you have to do.
Yeah, it's part of it. We're bargaining with life, so.
June
Very nice.
consistently being a superhero.
Just going to go ahead and relay for people watching. Given the 3d6 system that we're working with here, a 19, the TN on that is listed on the GM screen as imposing. It doesn't get very much higher. And you do have 5 stunt points.
Yes, I do, but I don't have anything.
Okay. Other than to more fully convey the openness and honestness that June is bringing to the conversation.
I've got it pulled up to you. I suppose, like, technically speaking, the let's make a deal, it's your action turns out to benefit a character you didn't target who now owes you a favor somehow grudgingly. I know that that's weird, but the idea of I'm bargaining for all of our lives right now, and it's not necessarily, I don't want, as far as game goes, I don't want the rest of the crew to owe me. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, if this bargain does turn out being like, yes, he's not going to report us, we're going to be okay, then there is some sort of a favor there.
Okay. He acknowledges your comments. And then there's a moment where like he sits there and sort of you can tell he's evaluating June and her statement a little bit more. And would then recognize as he sort of straightens up in his seat a little bit that he seems to have reached some sort of decision within himself. And he actually like stands up and moves to, still in the quarters here, a section of the, deck plating or something in the wall plating, and would actually, push against the section. You see it depress slightly and then pop out. And if you hadn't seen him do it, you never would have known it was there. And then as he like sucks in a breath, lets it out, will reach in. And as he turns around, you see he does have a pistol in his hand, and there's a moment of panic before he basically kind of racks it to empty it, drops the magazine out, and then turns to offer both of them to you. I don't know if there's much more that I could say or do, but I certainly don't wish anybody aboard this ship any harm.
June takes she takes the pistol in one hand and the magazine in the other and like holds them apart from each other. Like they were like, yeah, like
if they touch, they're going to explode.
Yes. And she looks at him and she doesn't quite know what to say for once in her life. And so she just inclines her head and then she like looks past him at the little compartment and she goes, "Does every room have one of those?"
He smiles a little bit. Just this one. The rest of the crew didn't have much more of an idea of what was going on than you do. I was specifically here to keep an eye on one thing in particular.
June nods and she goes, "So this cements to me that the number one thing on your mind is the thing that you've been asked to safeguard that we have. And I know that that's probably making you a little bit nervous. But," and she looks back down at those two snakes she's holding in her hand. She goes, if you give this to me and we've both laid it out, I want you to know that I appreciate it enough that I'm relatively positive that the rest of us are okay with you taking what is rightfully yours, and that you have obviously put your life into guarding. So I'm trying to guard my crewmates with my life, and that's your crewmate, and I can understand that. So I hope that you're able to sleep well. I will find some place to put these. And I guess I'll see you in the morning in space.
He would nod as, he's putting the lid back on the compartment a little bit.
Okay. Well, good night, Kai. Thank you. And she floats or half climbs, I guess, up the ladder, depending on how much that's
We're under a third G, I think, is typical cruising.
Okay.
That's little column A, little column B, I would guess.
Yeah. There's like a hop skip up the ladder. And using her wrists because she still won't put them both in one hand. She, even though he told her that it was only in that thing, she's still gonna go over to the wall in her room and like push on the panels slightly.
Nothing happens.
Yeah. And she just kind of goes, and she puts the gun and magazine in one of the compartments near her bed. And she doesn't feel the need to tell anybody about this right now anyway, because they all seem to be okay with Kai for the most part. But she does send a message to Carter, because Carter is the one other one that really has issues with people and trusting people. And so she's just gonna shoot him a message and just say, Kai gave me enough of a soul opener that I think that we can trust him and that we don't need to worry about it. Hi,
You
Scarlett.
would get a Carter appropriate response to that.
Yes.
What's the Carter appropriate response?
Oh, we have a Carter.
We have a Carter, yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
He snuck in.
Carter has woken up from his long slumber in his quarters.
You've finally gotten untwisted from all of the cabling and
Yes.
whatnot that you were involved with outside.
Thanks to
Yes.
Nigel.
Yeah, you may have some
You were a
bones
human
to pick
wiring
with
harness,
Nigel, yeah.
basically, for several hours.
yeah,
And if you were going to commandeer the ship, you missed your opportunity to do so.
because you
Yes.
were flying it while we were at dinner.
Very well. He would send a message back to June being like, okay, ... and then nothing else.
Okay. She knows that she's gonna have to talk to him later, but that's at least just don't kill him in his sleep, please. And she's gonna get ready for bed. So
In her suit coat? Or
I just said ready for bed.
Uh-huh.
That's to encompass the whole thing.
whatever.
And to address the comment, the pistol was full. The intent was that it was fully safety.
Yeah, of course, but
so-
she's not
Well-
she got lucky with that one shot one time.
I was just watching that, and there was a comment of that made, and the intent was that it was safety and locked open. There we go.
I think we're going to bed, and then we'll wake up in the morning and find out what
Mhm.
happens. I know long rests aren't a thing, but it just seemed like a good time to go to sleep, and then
Yes, it has been a very, very long day.
Yes.
Thomas, are you sleeping in your chair on the bridge? I wouldn't put it past him.
Well, I'm unable to move without somebody moving me for me, so
Oh, right, I forgot. I mean, we
We
probably
can
should have
also-
somebody on watch. But I think we're all on the same schedule, so I don't know.
It'll be up to you.
I mean, the
Yeah,
ship will
but
let us
business-
know something's going weird, so...
I mean, with enough caffeine, I'll be on watch all the time. It's fine.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Wired up sleep-deprived Thomas with a torpedo control?
What could go wrong?
Start shooting asteroids because they're making faces at him. All right, well,
Next.
Chester's asleep, so he's not saying anything.
The evening would pass. For the most part, the Amphion is, it hangs out in your general vicinity, probably in the medium-ish range. It would have opened up. They don't feel the need to, formation fly, but they're certainly close enough to provide support if something would happen. That and the fact that you're traveling in tandem with an MCRN transponder. I mean, I guess it depends on who you ask. It might draw more attention to you, but it might also get some folks to think that they want to go look elsewhere. But the evening does pass without incident.
Oh, thank goodness. So in the morning, Chester sits up out of bed, goes over and grabs a clean set of coveralls, and puts on his clean set of coveralls, putting in his pad in his breast pocket. He stretches and cracks his back and hums a little tune to himself. And then he brushes his teeth. He doesn't take a shower because he's used to flying in ships, and you don't take a shower every day on ship because it's a waste of water. Also, he hasn't done anything too sweaty. He's not...
You didn't specify it. You specified everything else.
Go on!
Chester enjoys the feeling of freedom.
Oh, God.
In low G, it's second to none.
I think the sick voice makes that even worse.
Anyway, so Chester goes through his morning routine, whatever that may be.
Yep.
And climbs up the ladder to start getting breakfast ready for everyone, because that's what he likes to do. He's enjoying this medic/cook thing that he's got going on. Is anyone else awake yet as he goes up the ladder? Or is it all quiet?
June is probably awake at this point, but she's not getting out of the bed. She's so she could probably hear him. And she's the kind of person that is not the first one out. She would rather have other people out before she gets out. And so she's been in her bed, kind of just brushing her own hair with her fingers, and thinking about the many different possibilities of where things could go from here. And she'll get up. She's actually gonna wear coveralls. Dun dun dun.
Yeah, she just wears them a lot better than Chester does.
They're obviously tailored coveralls. But she'll don those and then head up the ladder.
She didn't say it, so she's only wearing coveralls.
Yeah.
They cover it all.
They do cover all,
Yeah,
it's true.
They cover everything. Yep. Anyway.
It's too
so,
bad I sold everything.
So she comes up the ladder and she hesitates for a second because she's like, it would be really funny to scare Chester, but at the same time, if she did, she feels like the entire kitchen might explode. And
I'll wait for your moment of chaotic evil to either pass or...
Anyway, so she comes up all the way and makes just enough noise for him to know that somebody's coming up the ladder. And she goes, "Morning, Chester.
Good
How
morning.
are you?"
I'm doing really well. How did you sleep well? He's microwaving some eggs.
Sure.
Some
I
fake
slept.
eggs, not real eggs. We don't have any of those.
June just kind of watches him for a second. She sits down near the table and she's like, "So, have you just become the cook? Or do you want help?"
I mean, there's not a lot of cooking involved most of the time. I mean,
Fair enough.
you know how it works. You stick it in the microwave and
Yes.
pull it out. But and he reaches underneath the counter and pulls out a little jar of sauce. Do you like Tabasco?
June kind of like cocks her head to the side and she goes, "That's a hot sauce, right?"
It originated on Earth. It's basically just it's cayenne pepper and some salt and some vinegar. It's really, really basic, but it's terrible on everything except eggs. It makes eggs incredible, and he sprinkles it on his eggs and on the eggs and holds it out. Try it. It's a little spicy, but it's mostly just tangy. It's
Okay.
good. Hands it to her and does the same thing for his. Puts twice as much on his eggs than he did on hers.
June takes a bite and like she doesn't. She like makes like a half pucker with her face, and she goes, "That's a taste, isn't it? It's not bad. It's just different."
Yeah, well, I mean, don't try it on things that aren't eggs. For some reason, it works really well with eggs. If you want like good hot sauce, you have to order it. It's expensive, but this stuff is so garbage that even out here in space, we have access to it. But it's really good on eggs. And, well, even these mushroom eggs, which aren't actually egg, but you know what? They nail the egg flavor pretty well. And I think the vinegar makes it taste more like eggs. Get that sulfury component in there.
She's taking more bites and trying to get with it, right? To get on the hype train here, and and she's like, I can see that it offers a nice different flavor than what you're used to out here, I guess.
Yeah.
Thanks for the food.
Yeah.
And she keeps eating.
He pulls out his pad and queries the ship about how long it's going to take to get to Ganymede. What does he see?
We keep doing this to poor Squirrel.
I just want to know if this is going to be like interlude time, or if we're going to arrive soon, or I'm not trying to move things along, but I'm also aware that things may or may not have to happen, so I'm giving him all the opportunities to may or may not happen.
I would say that the time to Ganymede at this point is exactly what you would expect it to be.
Thank you.
To both answer and not answer the question at the same time.
Are you a lawyer?
No, I'm a GM.
Same thing.
Mechanically, though, if there was something in particular you wanted to accomplish, you would have some time. Otherwise, we would kind of slide into some interlude.
Well, I think conversations are kind of important in this interlude because
there's a lot happening. Yeah.
Yeah, and various people know different things and need to. Yeah. So.
Well, in that case, I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking of his happiness and the Tabasco and just trying to be Chester for a minute. So we've got about X amount of time. GM insert it, except he won't. We've got about appropriate amount of time left until we hit Ganymede. So we've got a little bit of time to figure out what we're going to do with our passenger and his cargo, because honestly, it's his. We took his ship. We don't need to take that too. I still think we should just... I know you are worried about what Mars is going to do with it, but I don't think...
June just kind of holds up a hand. She's like, I spoke to him last night, and I think that we can trust him with it. And I know that you're happy to hear that. The problem that I foresee is I don't think that Nigel's going to be happy.
Is Nigel ever happy?
Well, I mean, fair enough, but I have not...
I'll make him... Hang on. Chester gets up, looks for a popular flavor of kibble, and prepares it appropriately. Although he does coat the last piece of kibble in Tabasco. And puts it on the table, and puts a sign next to it. There's probably not paper on the ship. He just puts it out on the head of the table, and spells in kibble on the table, Nigel. And sits back down. That should make some good inroads.
I don't know if he can be bought with food, but he does keep mentioning that, I suppose. Can't hurt, I guess. And she finishes up her eggs, and goes over to the sink and puts them in there. Do they wash their dishes with water?
So unknown. I think most of the dishes and stuff go into the recycler that then get printed back out, basically. So
Okay.
anything on there, because it's like an organic, it's not actually
Right.
plastic, it's like an organic material. Like, you could eat the plate and it wouldn't hurt you. And so it just gets recycled back, and
So-
then...
Okay, so she doesn't put it in the sink. She puts it in the recycler. She just
Mhm.
throws it all away. Anyway, so she tosses it, and then she comes back and she sits down again, and she's absently playing with her fingernails. She just kind of goes, I don't know how it's gonna go, honestly. He seems to really... He's almost made it a pet. But I wonder if we can
It's a
convince him that-
computer. It's...
but that's all he ever really works with is computers and
What is-
stuff like that.
We'll just give him another round of Candy Crush or something.
Well,
I
it's
don't
not
know.
like it's not like we have to take the drone from him. He can keep the
He
pet.
can play
I
with
guess.
the drone, yeah.
But I think at this point, he might. It might be like trying to take the brain out of his pet and giving him a brain dead pet. I don't know.
It's... Okay.
She sighs. She's like, I'm sorry. I've been worrying about it for a while because I've decided that, I've come to the conclusion that we probably need to get rid of that thing and give it to Kai and let him take it. But I have not spoken to Nigel, who has worked the hardest on it and understands it and is still messing with it. Have you seen Nigel this morning?
No, I have no idea where he sleeps.
He sleeps on the lowest level of cabins, but
His quarters are on the lowest level of cabins. I don't think he sleeps
Ah.
there.
Does Nigel sleep though? Have we confirmed that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think he hangs upside down inside the ship's computer room.
He's a vampire. Okay. Well,
I don't think anyone
We'll
else is
just-
up yet. Jester pokes his head up into the bridge to see if Thomas is up there.
Oh, Thomas is.
Thomas is up there. Good morning. Do you want some eggs? I found the Tabasco.
You can hold the Tabasco, but I'll have the eggs.
I thought, okay. Chester just shakes his head, because on all the ships he's served on, Tabasco always went on the fake eggs. Always.
Well, I mean, there's a reason why Thomas is no longer in the Navy.
They kicked him out because he wouldn't eat the Tabasco.
Well, exactly, yeah, obviously.
he microwaves another thing of fake eggs and brings it up to the bridge.
Thank you kindly.
Yeah, so it sounds like June's come around on letting Kai go with the football, and I think that's for the best. And now we just need to talk to Nigel, Carter, and Rebecca about it. I don't think Rebecca will care one way or another. It doesn't affect the ship. Nigel and Carter, though, I mean, they were both pretty vocal about keeping it. Well, as vocal as Nigel gets. I know Carter wants to keep it. But do we care about what Carter thinks?
At that point, Carter would be coming up the ladder to the kitchen to get some food. Just barely over here, someone saying, "Do we care what Carter thinks?" He just kind of rolls his eyes and goes over to the food processor.
June watches him and of course overheard that, and she just she shrugs at him like you saw that happening, man. Morning, Carter.
Good morning,
She says,
June.
she says loud enough for Chester to hear.
Carter, you want some eggs?
Sure.
Chester shimmies down the ladder behind Carter, who is already preparing his own meal. There's Tabasco in the cabinet right underneath the microwave. He tries to push around you and show you where the Martian spice is. It's Martian Tabasco.
Thanks, I got it.
Chester's-
June just
Go ahead.
June just kind of watches the happenings with a slight smile on her face, and then she goes, "So Carter, I talked, as you know, I talked to Kai. I want to know what you're thinking about all this. I haven't been able to hear from you. You've been so tangled up."
He has seemed distant recently.
You're the captain. Whatever you say goes.
Stop that, Carter.
You're the captain. We all agreed. Whatever you decide.
Okay, so
that's
like
fine.
the one person who didn't agree to me being the captain is the captain. Cool. This is turning out well.
That's how you become captain.
Oh, Carter. And she looks at him again. She's like, "How did you go from being second in command to being everybody else's like yes man?"
Practice.
Fair.
That's how you become second in command.
And she just kind
what
of
June.
what? Go ahead.
I say what June doesn't know is Carter actually started off as the captain of the Shakespeare and worked his way down.
I think Carter just understands that there's that point where you have just enough authority to get what you want,
But not
without
have
the
to-
responsibility and the pressure that comes from being in the center chair.
Yep. And poor June, who's very used to being able to like get what she wants by talking to people, now has to like make all of the decisions, and she hates it.
I mean, it could
Anyway,
be worse.
so-
Thomas could be the captain.
So she turns to Chester and she goes, "Does that help your brain a little bit? You don't have to care what he thinks anymore."
That was a joke.
She and she does actually laugh, and she goes, "You're just extremely easy to cheese, Chester." So well, okay, I think the only other person that we have to convince is Nigel, but again, we have no idea where Nigel is. And there he is. Hi, Nigel.
Nigel ends up standing behind her.
Comes out of the
As
vent
is
in the
his-
wall.
Just climbs out.
Nigel is everywhere.
Yes, Nigel. Nigel is the alien from the Alien. Was that spit dripping on me?
All you heard was the thumping in the vents.
Yeah, oh man. It starts
Saw
with
Nigel
vents.
Nigel sus.
Out he goes.
Anyway, Nigel, we were just talking about you.
I
Oh,
made
yeah,
you
Arthur?
breakfast. And he points eagerly at the kibble on the table that spells Nigel.
Ooh, kibble.
So as he's eating, June lets him get into that first, and then we'll be like, so I was able to have a conversation with Kai, and I didn't get to talk to you after the dinner, but it seems like we can trust the other ship, and it seems like actually Kai really can be trusted to not bring everything back to us. From what I gathered from him, he was basically, I mean, like, if you're thinking about how he was on the ship and everybody else here that we found, he was basically the spy, and like nobody else really knew what he was up to. I don't think he cares about anything besides that thing you plugged into the drone. That is everything to him. That's why he won't tell us some of the things, because whatever it is that he swore to literally has everything to do with that. And after talking to him, he appreciates that we saved him, and knows. I made sure that he knows that we don't want him dead, but we don't want him to die either. He gave me a pistol that he had actually had hidden in his room. Did you know that? Did anybody know about the hidden compartment in the medical room?
Do we all have hidden compartments?
No. And her shoulders like slump. I checked mine.
I need to check mine.
He said there weren't in any others. That's
Not when
another.
he was on board.
Well, I
But
suppose
if they're
Carter
hidden-
might have added something. But June just she shakes her head like anyway. So he trusts at least me enough, but me means us as far as the ship is concerned, and
Well, you are the face.
yes. So anyway, Nigel, what are your feelings about your little pet and how much you need to
I don't think it's a
Dee
pet.
is giggling at me and it threw my RP off. So anyway.
Jester is watching him, waiting for him to get to the Tabasco kibble.
We can give it to him,
Okay.
but we make a copy first.
That's a good idea.
Isn't he going to know that we made a copy?
Is there anything he can do about it if we do?
Come after us with the MCRN, who know exactly who we are and what our ship is?
Yeah, well, what's the likelihood that's going to happen?
I mean, we just got
Increasingly more likely the more we do things that seem shady with the MCRN and their very valuable secret property.
I suppose if we get rid of it, then we're freeing Claire to keep their ship.
I don't think it was ever their ship to
it
begin
was-
with.
Yeah,
I
as
think it
far
was
as
chartered.
as far as I could glean from Kai, as long as he has it and he can go and do what he needs to do and has sworn to, we're gonna be fine. And that it's not going to come back to haunt us. That was my main concern. I was really upset about that.
I suppose then we should just get rid of it and be done with it.
Yeah, I like the intelligence that it provides.
It
But
is useful,
that's,
but
yeah, but that's the whole point, right? That's the point. But it's not supposed to be in anybody else's hands. I would really enjoy it if we could have it, but I don't think copying it is gonna be a good idea.
Well, that assumes that they know we have a copy.
Yeah, but
can you copy it without them knowing?
We won't know until we try.
That's the problem.
I think in light of not dying and keeping trust and everything, you just ask him.
If we can copy it?
Not necessarily. Just what you want, like everything that it has to offer. Do we even have the ability to take that without like running risks of whatever it is you copy it onto? Like, we specifically have made sure that has not connected to our ship.
Yes, we have. And we know that what it's done so far has been mostly benign. It's a data information tool. I'd rather know what we're going to run into out here, because who knows what other duster machinations are going to show up. And who knows? Some information might be useful to some of Bossman's friends.
So, are you mostly, because for me, what I would mostly like to have is the ability to identify ships as quickly as it does. I don't really care about maneuvering or military stuff, but just the ability to identify potential threats that otherwise we wouldn't be able to do. I don't know if Kai can be like, no, you can't do that. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a problem to at least ask about the identifying information that this has to offer?
There's one way you could maybe... it'd only be a very small chance. One thing you could say would be that if the data's so important, if we have a copy, and if anything happens to him while he's returning it to Mars, that the data's safe, it's not going to be lost. And then we'll delete it after.
Yeah, he knows we're not going to delete it after.
Well, if you or me said it to him, yeah, but I think
June
he
just
may
shakes her
believe
head. June shakes her head before he can even get the rest of that sentence out. I'm not going to do it. I already laid out all of my cards to him on the table last night, and I'm not going to turn my back on that. I said what I said, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, what we really know right now is that this data core has information on it about ships and classes and what they're capable of and what they could do. But we don't know what else it has. And if our Duster friend here, who needs to get it back to the rest of his Duster family, seems to think it's very important, it's got to have more on it than just that.
Yes, I'm aware of that. But like I said, we're not part of the military. I don't think we need to care about it. If it's not going to come back to haunt us, then I think we're going to be okay.
Chester starts climbing down the ladder.
June watches him and just is like, he's going to talk to him.
He knocks on Kai's door.
Uh-huh. June looks to Nigel and she's like, if you want to have any say in what is happening, you might want to boogie down the ladder. And June goes too.
Chester, you would hear just a minute, and the idol, movings around.
He's putting his commando coveralls on.
You gather he will either have specifically been giving you time to have a discussion, if it hadn't been had already, or maybe he slept in a little bit. Who knows?
He was listening.
But you had, so probably around the time anybody else is coming down to this floor, he would open the door and then see, all three of you. Just an eyebrow goes up, and he kind of looks past Chester at June.
June just, she shrugs slightly and she does like a half wave, like not just hi, but also I have little or nothing to do with this. I'm just here for backup.
I think Kai is good enough at what he does to sort of understand your intent.
Chester looks...
I don't suppose you brought breakfast down.
I was actually just going to ask you if you wanted some eggs and Tabasco. I was going to invite you up to the galley. I'm unsure why my colleagues followed me down here.
Carter stayed at the galley.
We were
breakfast.
discussing our arrival at Ganymede, and I thought you might want to be involved in the discussion, since you were one of the subjects of discussion.
I think I've made my position clear, but I'm happy to be part of the discussion.
He points at Nigel. He wants to copy the football.
June just kind of like closes her eyes and she just hates Chester when he does this.
You can see Kai's expression kind of goes deadpan for a minute and then looks at Nigel and then back over at Chester. Aha.
June looks at him. Yeah, June looks at him in a I'm sorry way, and she goes, I suggested that maybe if it were possible at all, to maybe just get the the stuff that allows us to identify ships faster, because as I mentioned to you last night, not dying is a nice thing.
I'll go get your
Um,
eggs. Chester climbs the ladder.
June shrugs again. She goes, I don't care either way if we copy or not, but I am not. I like the idea of having the capability that it allows us to identify ships faster. But as far as any military stuff, if it is at any way possible to separate that information out, that would be amazing. But if we can't, then I personally don't mind giving it to you, but you're gonna have to talk to Nigel.
I'm not what you would call the most technical person, but my brief did include some information. And I can tell you that straight copying the information is not as easy, or not supposed to be as easy as it sounds. And I would not be at liberty to allow that. That said, some of the information can be provided, but I would have to acquire that from other sources. That specific drive has protections on it that would make it difficult.
I suspected as much, and she looks at Nigel and she's like, Are you gonna give us a thought as to how well you are confident you could bypass those things, or did you know about them, or what?
Oh, I figured they were there. There was no rhyme or reason as to why that drive would behave the way it would if it didn't think it wasn't going to have to protect its secrets. Besides, it plays okay chess.
Mm-hmm. June just shrugs at Kai, like, this is what I deal with. And she looks back at Nigel and she's like, so what was your plan then? All I heard was, I want to copy it, we give it back, but I want to copy it. So what was your game plan? And maybe Kai here can give us a little bit more information.
Well, we would start with a very complicated series of algorithms in order to trick the AI into believing that it needed to migrate from this data core into another data core. I can keep going.
Kai would kind of raise up a hand, partially in surrender, partially as a just stop. Like I said, I'm not the most technical person. It's possible that you could bypass them. There's no... I know enough that I know there's no security that can be placed on something like that can't be bypassed given sufficient talent and time.
June smiles and goes, we already tricked it once.
Kai just gives June a look like, I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that. Kind of. Maybe just a little bit of regret at his actions the night before, but
I mean, it's a computer.
Let me ask you this.
It's not like she's not tricking a person, she was tricking a computer.
But
let me ask you this, Dustin. What's a good reason not to copy it?
If you have that drive or a copy of what it contains, there will be a target on this ship and everybody on it. And he says that looking more at June than he does at Nigel. What it is valuable enough. No matter how well you try to keep the secret, eventually somebody will find out and they will come after it.
Can I do a perception check to just make sure he's telling the truth?
Sure.
Would that be a focus of intuition or just perception?
No, I'd say intuition falls into it. You're confident that he's Like you feel like he may be specifically spinning the comment to June,
To me,
given your
yep.
conversation. But you do also pick up on the fact that he is 100%. He's either 100% honest in what he's saying, or he, at the very least, 100% believes it.
Okay. So, June takes in the fact that she knows he's playing to what happened. But even with that massive grain of salt, she turns to Nigel and she's like, he's telling the truth. And I would really like not to have a target painted on my ship.
All right, then. If the captain says so.
She looks back at Kai. You mentioned having to get in contact with somebody else in order to allow us to have certain things or bypass certain things. Could you elaborate?
Well, it is my opinion, given what I've seen and what you've done thus far, that should I end up with the drive and its contents, that he directs more looking at Nigel, in my possession when we arrive at Ganymede, so I can continue to get it where it belongs, that you as a group would be owed compensation from the MCRN for seeing to it that it got where it belonged. I would have to convince my superiors of that, but I'm confident that I would be able to do so. And if some amount of data is something that you would be interested in, I would likely be able to see to it that you got it.
June casts a side glance to Nigel just to kind of gauge his reaction to that.
Nigel, look back and whisper, better be worth a lot.
June inclines her head toward Kai and she goes, I appreciate that. You didn't need to tell us that. So, and I appreciate that you know that this is worth something. So, I suppose at this point, the only thing to do is to ask you to put a good word in if you can, because like I said, it would be really nice to be able to have at least some of the technology that allows us to identify ships. If that is possible, that would be fantastic compensation, because that's something I've never seen before in any other ship that I've been on. So I think that would be acceptable. Most definitely, and I appreciate it very much. And I think with that, we'll be able to give you what you swore your life to protect and let you go on your way when we get to Ganymede.
At this point, you hear some clinking on the ladder above you, as Chester is trying to come down the ladder with a plate of eggs,
And are you going to roll?
a bottle of Tabasco, and a bulb of whatever faux orange or apple juice they have. He has 3 things. Oh, he's also got forks and a napkin as well, because it was clear to him that Kai wasn't going to come up and eat, and that they were going to have the important conversation downstairs, and he got tired of waiting. So he is now climbing down a vertical ladder, 2 decks.
Yep. A lot of the things you can stash in the pockets that your coveralls would provide. That's easy enough to do.
Yeah.
The plate of eggs, though, is the concern. So that will require a dexterity
And roll for initiative.
Dexterity acrobatics or just dexterity?
I would say that, or if you have 0G or low G, something of that nature, that would apply.
I have dexterity acrobatics.
That works for me. I have climbed enough ladders with something in one hand
Yep,
to
as
know
have
what
I.
you're dealing with.
As have I. And yeah, okay. So there's a cover on it, but it's not like something that snaps to it. He's kind of holding it down, right? It's just to give
Well,
you a
it's
little more
a
information.
Plate with a little bit of a cover that you're kind of holding 4 fingers underneath
fingers
the plate,
and a
the
thumb.
thumb
Yep.
is holding
Yep.
the cover on,
Yep.
and then your other hand you're attempting to work the ladder.
With the ladder, while
Mhm.
being aware of the Tabasco and the fork and the napkins, everything in his pockets, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you really don't want to get stabbed by that fork.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate. It could really fork me up.
Unfork unit. Yeah.
Yes.
Here we go.
It was at that moment. Thomas decided to test the RCS system.
Interesting. It didn't show me. Oh, that's all right.
Did it not show you my roll?
No, I got on my screen. It's interesting. For June's last roll, the picture in chat didn't load, but I got the results. And then for yours just now, I got the 3 and the 5, but I didn't get the. Is that a 6?
It's a 6, yeah.
And then I got the results. So it's. I don't know what the deal is.
So that
I'm
last
just-
one is a 6.
Mm-hmm. And I mean,
And
a
this seems
17
to be
solid.
this seems to be a success. So you just turned the
Can-
churn.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, you did.
But with that 6, can I say how I make it down the ladder?
Sure.
So Chester and the ladder did not get along that one time.
Yep.
But his confidence has been growing and he's in a hurry. And he looks down and no one's right by the ladder. So he pulls his legs off the ladder and hangs onto one rung and slides down. And then lands, because it's only a third G, so it's not that far of a fall, at 1/3 G. And lands perfectly on the side of the deck right here while holding the plate out to Kai and says, "Sir, I have brought you breakfast."
June just kind of stares at him.
I've been practicing on the ladder. What do you want? He pulls the Tabasco and stuff out and hands it over to him too.
I would say Kai gives you a little bit of luck. Probably you would also notice at this point, one deck down, Rebecca saw you coming and stepped off of the ladder, just in case, given the results of last time this happened. But yes, you were quite successful, and you looked exactly as cool as Chester thought he looked doing it. And everything is undisturbed. And he would take the eggs and hold them in one hand, and then with the other be tucking the utensils and whatnot into his own pockets. He'll stop when you hand him the bottom. He's like, "Is this actual Martian Tabasco?"
Smells like it and tastes like it.
I knew one of them had it stashed.
It was right under the microwave, kind of behind the salt.
Throughout all of this, June has been like furiously typing on her data pad suddenly, and then out of her data pad, you suddenly hear dun dun.
So and out of this, because I feel like Chester dropped into the tail end of a not necessarily tense, but definitely a hefty conversation, and provided a bit of levity to end it off. Kind of whatever tension was there has been broken, and he accepts it, tucks it away, and says, "I look forward to my breakfast."
Are we
Okay,
giving
we'll
him?
leave
Are
you
we
to
giving?
it.
Are we giving him the football? We should give him the football.
We will be, yes.
Okay. Well,
Let's let him eat.
all right. Well, maybe
Till
Nigel
then,
can take
if
his plate
there's-
away when he brings the football over. looks at Nigel. Chester desperately wants this to go well and him everything to be wrapped up in a nice little neat package because life always works like that.
Kai would just, if there's anything else that I can do.
Please don't use all the Tabasco.
He smiles and nods. And he puts a little bit on, a little bit less than Chester put on for June, enough to get the flavor there, but certainly not so much to use it up. Puts the cap back on and hands it to you before, turning around and securing the plate somehow in the room.
Chester shoves it way deep into his breast pocket, making sure it's safe. After double checking the cap is tight.
Yep.
So, June is watching all this and enjoys the theatric and all of that. It seems very end of a scene, even to her as she's sitting there, and as she's watching and is kind of coming to grips with how this has all been going down. Because when this first started, she's like, great, we might have to kill another person because I can't trust him, right? And we're being shot at, and so all of that has been like boiling down, and she's watching Chester and Kai, and then when Kai's door is like closing, he's getting stuff done, she remembers that she did kind of flirt with him, and she's like, I think I like this guy. And then she goes up to her room and just is like having to have a think.
The Studley Martian special ops agents will get you every time.
Just said nothing about him being Studley.
He's Martian,
nice
of course
guy.
he's Studley. We're all
Why
Studley.
did I say his name was Kai? It's Bond. James Bond. But I think time-wise and scene-wise, this is probably a pretty good place to wrap it up. We can pick up next time with, if there was anything else that would come up. I think I double-checked. You probably had 5 or 6 days travel, because the total travel time was about 10. You stopped about halfway. Or something like that. So
yeah,
you'd have a little bit more time of interlude in between.
Yeah, I think
we'll go from there.
Yeah, definitely. So next week we're good, but the week after that. Oh, what? Sorry, what?
Before we end, I want to make sure, because we have Scarlet with us at this point.
Yes.
I want to make sure that is there anything that you want Carter to do before anything else gets played, because you may not have the opportunity to be with us.
No, I'm good right now.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, if you wanted to go on an extended vacation with a ship full of Martians, there is a patrol destroyer a stone's throw away.
We did consider having you over for dinner, and they would find a warrant for you, and they would take you away somewhere.
Yeah, these guys got to come with us.
But if you're able to make it at this time all the time, or at least the tail end, we can. I think this is still easily doable, because I'm
Okay,
totally
yeah.
fine with that. And then, let Squirrel or somebody know what you want Carter to do, or how you want him to act, or whatever goal Carter has in the near future, and we can make sure that you're not, permanently a wiring harness.
Or a
Very
lamppost.
appropriate.
Or a
as it were.
lamppost.
Yeah.
Hey, these things are important.
They are, but
I did half role play, at least being like checking in with Carter multiple times.
yeah, to make sure that we
Gotcha.
all remember that you exist.
Yes.
Well, I'm a politician. You're not supposed to remember I exist until,
Until something
is
happens.
happening.
Yeah, so something goes wrong.
What did you do?
Well, everybody, this concludes our episode of The Expanse, and thank you all so much for watching.
Yes, you were saying something about not next week.
Oh,
the
yes.
week after.
So next time, The 18th will be good, but on the 2nd, Nab and I will both be out of town. So in 2 weeks we're good, but in 1 month we will be skipping that session.
Well, depending, to pull back the curtain a little bit, there is a little bit more of not necessarily a hiccup, but something else for you to look at. But it's possible we might wrap up next time. I don't know.
Okay, we'll see.
Since it seems like you've kind of come to a conclusion what you want to do with the MacGuffin.
Okay, well, we will look forward to it.
I mean, that would be, yeah, and if it does wind up that's the end, then I think that'll work out fine for summer schedules too, so that people don't have to worry about that.
And then Squirrel will have more free time on a Saturday. We're lying. He's going to find another game to play on that time.
I'm sure something will be found, yes.
All right. Well, as always, thank you, Squirrel, for the effort you put into this, and we will see everybody.
Why wouldn't they? It's my summer car. Everything in it is slightly bizarre. Nice one, D. Welcome, Raiders. Garavel? I'm sorry to say, mate, but I was about to switch over to something else, I think. There's an armor op going on in 5 minutes. So I should probably switch over that. They don't run that often. I can kind of play my summer car whenever I want. And it's a World War II one tonight, which sounds like it might be kind of fun. Or terrifying, one or the other. Cheers for the raid, D-man. But if you wanted a very quick update, the car is almost fully functional. As in, rally ready functional. We're missing one of our fenders. I don't know where it is. It's on the side of the road somewhere. Oh yes, I'll get my finest British accent on. Oh wait, no, we're not playing the Brits. Fair enough, Caravel. Yeah, I did a whole bunch of the work on it last night. We've actually only been going for, what, 50 minutes today. It is BD. If it's yeeked it into the moon, what we'll probably do is use the editor to work out where it's gone, as usual. Because if things disappear to the big extent where I can't